Well, it wouldn't be Bathurst without a driver signing session, and this one is huge. It's inside the Repco trackside store, and we're going to just butt in here and grab a quick word with the boys. They've been out in the car once, and it was probably about 50-50 wet and dry. There was a slight dry line there, Will. There was a little bit of a dry line. I was lucky enough to get up there in the C10 and rip a few skids and hit the wet line on the way out of the chase, and you don't want to do that.
No, exactly. It was towards the end. It was high grip, so we were committing. We were down in the 204s, and the dry bits were really quite grippy. So, but if you were just a mil wrong either side, you'd hit the water, and it was all over. So tricky conditions, but probably going to be the topic of the next 3 days, I'd say. Yeah.
And just on that, I mean, obviously a top 10 shootout lap. It's all in, balls to the wall. We're talking millimetres in that lap. You could probably say the same thing each lap of that practice session. You've got to be on the money.
Yeah, exactly. We were sort of having to run slightly narrower lines than normal because all the outside and inside the track was very wet. So as you were getting faster, you would start getting a bit more greedy and using a little bit more road up into the cutting and down into the grate. But every lap was a bit of an experiment. So yeah, it was good fun. It's what all about. We're getting quicker all the time, and in the end, we were sort of quicker than the first practice last year, so it felt quite good.
All right, well, all the talk about the rain, you heard it there, quicker than practice one last year. Obviously, co-driving with Will is Alex. Just one question I've got for you, Alex. Obviously, you're out there. It was a dry track. You had the dry line. But if it pours rain tonight, pours rain tomorrow, pours rain Saturday, is everything today out the window?
Pretty much. Like the wet setup and dry setup has nothing to do with each other. So we take advantage of the dry conditions today in the hope that we have some dry running in the race. If it rains tomorrow, we'll be starting from scratch, working on a wet setup. So
it's kind of like training for rugby league today and then turning up tomorrow and having to play AFL.
Exactly. You're starting from scratch. And we thought we were going to have wet practice all the way through and then maybe dry running in the race. So the dry running today is a bonus.
A little bit of a bonus. Thought he was playing AFL today, had to play a bit of rugby league, but maybe with the forecast, a bit of AFL tomorrow. Hopefully we got dry session for practice number 2. Anton.
G'day, mate.
Hello, mate. We're talking about the weather. Obviously no one likes driving a supercar around Bathurst in the wet, but is there anything good about driving a supercar in the wet?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I've always say, our cars in the wet are probably the most fun you're going to have in a race car, but then it turns nat soft and all the timing's on, and then it's just stressful. But if you didn't have lap times, you have all ball of fun. But they're cool, not much grip, heaps of power, so what else is there not to enjoy?
Spot on there, not much grip, heaps of power, and it's in the wet. All right, quick one with Tony. Now, I've got to ask, obviously being co-driver, you do a lot of driving in other forms of motorsport throughout the year, but not in a supercar and definitely not around this track. Were you kind of happy it was wet this morning? It was dry this morning?
I'll be happy to get a few dry laps, that's for sure. It's always been interesting to have your first laps around the mountain in the wet. It's probably not the most comfortable. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this afternoon we get to do some dry running.
All right, well, everyone's praying for the dryness, but if the rain comes, it's still going to be one hell of a race, and it means exactly the same to the drivers that stand on that top step come Sunday afternoon, doesn't it?
It'll be a pretty exciting race to watch. I don't know how much fun it will be to drive, but from a spectator's point of view, it's going to be an epic battle.
All right, there you go. It is going to be an epic battle. So forget the weather, forget the forecast. You just get to Bathurst because the campers are set, the drivers are set, the sponsors are set, the teams are set. Everyone is ready to go for a big weekend.